Here are the lineups for the Mets. Vizcaino, former Chicago Cub, leading off. There's Dallas Green, too, the Mets manager. Todd Hundley, the catcher. Kevin McReynolds in left field. Bobby Bonilla at third base. Jeff Kent, the second baseman. Dave Segui at first base. Jeremy Burdiss in right field. Ryan Thompson in center field. And Dwight Gooden, who's beaten the Cubs 26 times during his career while losing to them only 4 times. Now that Pepsi presents the Cubs defense of Derek May in left, Rhodes, Tuffy Rhodes in center, Sammy Sosa in right, Buechele, Dunston, Sandberg, and Grace around the infield, Mike Morgan pitching, and Rick Wilkins catching. And with us in the booth, boy, I knew with the first lady of the nation on hand that Irv Cupson would be here too. I know you got a mouthful of hot dog. Go ahead.
Barry, I just came up to wish you 50 more years.
I want to wish you 50 more hot dogs at the same time.
You and I
Thank you very much.
have grown up together, 50 years each. I got you beat by 1 year, 51. But it's a joy to see you working so well, and we have the same attitude. I hope to be found terminal over my terminal. And I know you want to be found in the same way in the broadcasting booth.
Thank you very much, Cup.
Fine.
Thank you very much. Irv Cupson, the first pitch. And the count now 2-0 on Jose Vizcaino, former star infielder of the Cubs. Ball 3. And Mike Morgan, who's had a little trouble in spring training, away to a rocky start. 3 balls, no strikes on Jose Vizcaino, 26-year-old infielder. There's a strike.
You had to look at last year when Morgan went 10-15, an ERA of 4.03. He did pick up 207 innings. And there's his career against the Mets, a high ERA, 4.42.
Ball 4, and he walks the first man he faces. And that, for Mike Morgan, is very uncharacteristic. He usually walks very few. There is Tom Trebelhorn, the new manager of the Cubs, going into his first season. He successfully managed at Milwaukee for a few years. And here's Dallas Green, the manager of the Mets. And Dallas did just an outstanding job as a general manager for the Cubs about 10 years ago.
Now, the reason why Hundley's hitting second is the fact that he can move along the runners. So let's see if Dallas Green decides to run early. Todd Hundley actually lost the spot to Kelly Stinnett in spring training, and a lot of people are surprised that Todd Hundley is starting today.
Well, how can they not start him? He's hit a ton against the Cubs. He had only 11 home runs last year against everybody. He hit 4 or 5 against the Cubs. There's a strike call. So Todd Hundley, who hit .228 last year, 11 homers, 53 RBI. His dad is Randy Hundley, who caught for the Cubs and was one of the stars of that '69 ball club. Hey, good breaking ball over the inside corner. And Todd Hundley didn't like that. Rick Wilkins looking towards the dugout. I wonder if they're calling any pitches for him, Steve.
Well, I think, Caray, what they might be doing is perhaps calling a pitch out. But here from our new Sky camera, you'll see the last pitch over the inside corner. Jim Quick points it out. And Todd Hundley in a hole 0-2. And you see Wilkins looking again at the dugout. I know they call the pitch outs from there, and Harry, probably an occasional pitch.
0-2 the count. Vizcaino back. I don't know. This ought to be a great year. We not only have the sky-high camera, we got new microphones.
I know. This is
and new equipment.
Hard to believe.
0-2 the count. Fastball high and inside. Arnie says every 50 years we get new equipment. No, it's got to be less than that, Arnie. Technology moves along so quickly in our business. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Whoa! He struck him out. Todd Hundley is called out on strike, and he was bewildered by that pitch. Let's see if we can see it again.
From the rooftop camera, you'll see a tailing fastball. It comes back over the middle of the plate. Hundley thought the ball was inside, but that one not only caught the corner, it caught the whole plate, and Jim Quick rung him up.
And so Mike Morgan has fan one and walk one. And here's Kevin McReynolds, who hit 245 for Kansas City's Royals. 1 strike and nothing. Mark Grace came off the bag, and so did Vizcaino on the pitch.
McReynolds is one of 13 new Mets players. 13 different faces in this opening day as opposed to last opening day against the Rockies. So there's a massive changeover on this club.
Yeah, but this guy's not really a new face. He was with the Mets during the Palmy days. It became very terrible days, and they traded him away a few years ago. Now he's back with them. McReynolds. Ground ball, base hit into left field. And the Mets threaten. Runners at first and second. And here is Bobby Bonilla, who hits a ton in this ballpark. Want to wish the old pitcher, Cy Johnson, 87 years old, a quick recovery, living in Sheridan now. The last man to strike out Babe Ruth 3 times. An old-time pitcher. Played with the Reds, the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Boston. A lot of people gone from last year's ball club, and there are some of them. Vince Coleman, now with Kansas City. He'll probably never light up another firecracker in his life. Here's the pitch a little bit low and outside. Bobby Bonilla. Runners at first and second, 1 away.
In an otherwise dismal Mets year last year, Bonilla still hit 34 home runs, drove in 87. So he filled his part of the bargain.
You know, that surprised me. I thought he hit 34 against the Cubs alone last year.
It seemed like it. It seemed like most of them were in this park, Caray. And especially from the left side where he's a lot more dangerous.
Yes, and he also hit him right-handed too, I well recall. This is his favorite ballpark.
The wind is blowing out today.
Ooh, did he have a home run cut? But he fouls it. 2 balls and a strike. Mike Morgan, the #1 pitcher of the Cubs.
Bonilla did have a pretty good spring. He only hit 1 home run, but he did hit 366. The Mets as a team had a few guys who hit the ball well, but like the Cubs, they've got some pitching problems, especially in the number 4 and 5 spot in the rotation.
2 balls and a strike. He pulls it foul, and the count evens up 2-2. Texas opening up at Yankee Stadium. Yankees out in front 1-0 at the end of 1. Detroit at Boston, no score at the end of 1. Seattle at Cleveland leading 1-0 at the end of 2. The president threw out the first ball in Cleveland, and the first lady is here in Chicago doing the same thing. He struck him out. A change of pace, and that really fooled Bobby Bonilla. Second strikeout for Morgan.
Take another look at it. Morgan throws the off-speed curveball and has Bonilla way out in front of this one. Good stop by Rick Wilkins. From the sky camera on the roof, you'll see the foot out in front, the hands go forward, and the ball doesn't get there. And that's a big out.
Well, I guess he just gave a classic example how you should pitch to Bobby Bonilla, who has worn out the Cubs previously. Here's Jeff Kent. He hit 21 homers last year. Fouls the first pitch. He hit 270. He was acquired in a trade, and he's become their regular second baseman.
That was the trade that was with Toronto, Harry. Jeff Kent and Ryan Thompson came at the end of the year, and they traded David Cone away. Now, Cone is with Kansas City. Toronto has a ton of talent in their organization, and that's how they get their late season deals.
0-1 the count. There's no doubt they really do make very telling late season deals. A pitch, swung and fouled it off. 0-2, he's had good cuts. Seattle now leads in Cleveland 2-0 at the end of 3.
The strides that Jeff Kent made last year were defensive. They thought he could hit. They felt he could hit when he came from Toronto. But he came as a liability at second base, and the second half of last year he really tightened it up.
0-2 the count. The Yankees now lead Texas 3-0 at the end of 3. Bouncing ball, foul down the third base line. 0-2 the count. Kent, a big kid.
Well, when you talk about big guys in baseball, just about the biggest is standing in the first base coach's box. And that's a man that you're very familiar with, Harry. Frank Howard. You saw him take many a cut in the big leagues.
And what a wonderful man he is. Just a sweetheart of a guy. 0-2 the count. A little bit low and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I tell you, Rick Wilkins really working out there, going to his knees a lot. Morgan trying to keep the ball down. The wind blowing out. Beautiful day for baseball. That evens it up 2-2. Top of the first. Two on, 2 out. No score. Jeff Kent. They're playing him a shade towards left. That ought to be an easy 3rd out. Over to first to retire the side. Doc Gooden on the mound, and Todd Hundley is the catcher. The umpires are Jim Quick behind the plate, Bob Davidson first, Gary Davis at second, and Bill Hahn at third. That evens it up, a ball and a strike. Now, Tuffy Rhodes has been an outstanding player ever since he joined the Cubs last fall. Curveball a little high. 2 balls and the strike. Gooden has an almost unbelievable record against Chicago teams, against the Chicago Cubs. Ball 3. 26 victories, only 4 defeats, and I think he's 12-1 at Wrigley Field. Unbelievable. Swings, fouls it off.
Well, the Cubs managed to beat him twice in his inaugural season of 1984. That's when he was 19 years old. They roughed him up the first time, getting him for 6 runs. Second time, they got him for 5 runs. Then he pitched a gem against him in September. But after that first year, Dwight Gooden has been close to untouchable. And it seems like, doesn't matter what the Cubs score against him, he'll beat him 10-8 if he has to.
3-2 pitch. Swung on. High fly ball. Way back. Might be. Could be. And it is. Holy cow. Wow, did he hit that ball. High into the center field corner of the left field bleachers. Listen to the crowd.
Well, Harry, he took a 3-2 curveball and hit it out of the ballpark and almost hit it completely out of the ballpark. Well, he doesn't know that Dwight Gooden has been that good against the Cubs. He just took a 3-2 pitch and hit it out of the park.
So the Cubs already on the board. Here's Sandberg. Curveball a little bit low, inside. Boy, that's a happy dugout, and you know that's a happy, happy Tuffy. And, you know, the nickname Tuffy is given him by his mother, and that's why he likes to be called Tuffy, and he always likes to be remembered to his family. There he is. A looper. Sharp right field on the run, base hit. Sandberg loops a single to right. And here is Mark Grace.
Well, that's 2 curveballs and 2 base hits, and Gooden is not used to seeing his curveball get hit like that. Although Sandberg didn't hit it particularly hard, he hit it in a great spot. Jeff Kent couldn't get to it. Neither could Jeremy Burnitz. And we'll take a look at Tuffy Rhodes. A 3-2 curveball out over the plate, and Rhodes just puts a charge into it. Yeah, with the wind blowing out, no doubt about this. All Thompson does is look up.
You know, that was to the curveball to the outside portion of the plate. And he hit it almost directly center field in the center field section of the left field bleachers, right where the 2 bleachers join. Here's Grace. Fastball low and inside.
Now this is from the rooftop camera, the southwest rooftop camera. And it's out over the plate away from him. He gets his arms out, and no doubt about that swing.
The last year, Tuffy hit. There goes a runner. Swung and fouled. Outside first base. The hit and run was on. You know, Rhodes last year started with Omaha at Kansas City Farm Club, and he hit 23. Then he's traded to the Cubs, and he went over to Iowa, where he hit 7 home runs, giving him a total of 30. Then he joined the Cubs, and long enough to hit 3 homers. So actually, he had a total of 33 home runs last year. Double play ball is short. Vizcaino over the second, over the first, and Grace has grounded into a double play. 6, 4, 3. And that brings up Derek May.
Last year, Mark Grace grounded into 20-some double plays, and this year they tried to hit and run. It was not successful, and Mark Grace grounds into his first double play.
Here's Derek May, 1-0 in favor of the Cubs. Curveball in there, a strike call, and Doc Gooden has a fine number 2 going for him, even though one of them was hit for a home run. Way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Last year was not the typical Gooden year, as he really struggled. He went just 12-15, an ERA, 3.45, and completed 7 of his 29 starts.
There's a smash, line drive on 1 hop, right to Gooden. The first baseman of the Mets leading it off. His dad was a major league pitcher. There's a hot smash on the ground. Great play by Sand. Out at first base. Holy cow. What a tremendous play. Ryne Sandberg takes a base hit away from David Segui.
From the scoreboard camera, we'll take a look at some good range to his right as Segui, bidding for a base hit in his first at bat in the National League, finds out what so many other National Leaguers have found out, and that is that Ryne Sandberg is as good as it gets at second base. And he doesn't seem to have lost anything.
There's a high fly ball. Who's going to grab it? Derek May is there. 2 up, 2 down. Here's Ryan Thompson. Want to wish Mark Euler a happy birthday today. Around the Cub infield, Buechele at third. Dunston at short. Sandberg at second. Grace at first. There is no better defensive infield in the league. With a fine catcher, Rick Wilkins, behind the plate. By the way, speaking of Sean Dunston, who's just been an electrifying ball player all spring, he wanted to be sure to be mentioned to his youngsters, Whitney and Jasmine. Whitney and Jasmine Dunston listening to the ball game back home in the Bay Area. By the way, this is Jasmine's 4th birthday. Bouncing ball, Dunston up. Watch his arm. In time, 1, 2, 3. Harry Caray and Steve Stone. We go into the bottom of the second. Here's Sammy Segui to lead it off. Fastball inside. Boy, Gooden seems to have good stuff. They've clocked his fastball about 94 miles an hour this spring. Ooh, he had a cut. And the count evens up.
When you look at the record of Doc Gooden over the years, you see the strikeout totals go down and down. So he's not going to be able to be the same dominating pitcher he was before. But he's got to do it a little differently these days. But that fastball is still popping.
There's a good fastball over the outside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Sosa had a magnificent spring where he hit 7 home runs. And this young man has as lively a bat as you'll see on this club.
Good now, 29 years old. The pitch, foul back. Well, there we have the Cub bullpen. There's Batista there. Then next to him is Bollinger and Ilsley, and there is Sean Bosky. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Curveball in there, a beauty. Boy, how can you hit that curveball?
That was a knee buckler. And Cub fans, there's plenty of good seats available for every Cubs game this season, including next weekend's series against the National League West champion, the Atlanta Braves. Don't miss the action as Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine come to town for a 3-game weekend series. For tickets, call 312-831-CUBS.
And not only those ball players coming to town, but my son Skip Caray will be here. There's the pitch. Outside. Rick Wilkins had an outstanding spring. Had a great season a year ago.
Harry Gooden just showed you why you have to have some left-hand hitters in the lineup when you're facing him. That knee buckling curveball to Sosa for a right-hand hitter, that's death.
High foul ball out of play. A capacity crowd, that's nothing unusual here at Wrigley Field. Well, I see my good friend Ben Stein has recuperated and out of the hospital watching the ball game here today. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's here with Jack Leahy. There's Charlie Broomback to the right of the First Lady and Stanton Cook to her left. I don't know that has any political implications. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Watch Gooden. Little bit outside.
Looks to me like
around that plate.
It looks to me like Wilkins should look for something away from Doc Gooden. If he gets a fastball away, a lot like Tuffy Rhodes, he can take it out in left center.
Curve high. 3-2. The White Sox at Toronto are tied 1-1 at the end of 3. Rhodes got the first home run. There's a line drive hit hard but going to be caught. Jeremy Burnitz grabbed Wilkins' hot line drive. 2 gone. Bump Wills, I think in 1982, led off the season's opener with a home run in Montreal, as I recall. And now Tuffy Rhodes has done it again in 94. Here's Michelle. 1-0 Cubs. Fastball high. Pete Smith will go tomorrow. Pitch in there, a strike call. There's Mike Morgan to the left of Ryan Sandberg. Curveball in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The way Gooden is pitching, Morgan's going to have to be his best also. A tap on the ground. And Kent throws him out. 1, 2, 3. Bonnie Blair, as I live and breathe. The world's greatest ice skater. How do you navigate without ice skates on?
Oh, I don't know. I try to do my best, but that's definitely where I feel most comfortable.
Well, congratulations. What a great year you had, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it could have gone any better, really. It was last year was so-so, and I didn't know whether I'd have a good year this year, but boy, it was way better than I expected.
When are you going to skate next?
Well, I'll have some time off right now, and then our dry land training won't start up again until about the end of May. Back on the ice in September. My first competition will be about the end of November, and then our World Championships will be in Milwaukee in February.
Well, listen, congratulations to you. Nice to have you here. Dunston has thrown out a good hitting pitcher, Dwight Gooden, one away. And there's another thing to remember your daddy by, Jasmine, on your 4th birthday. His daughter, Jasmine Dunston, 4 years old today. And Sean, I think, thinking more about the 2 youngsters back in the Bay Area than actually the opening game of the season. He's done this before. Here's a pitch swung on. There's a drive by Vizcaino. It's going to be out of here. It is! The former Cub really drilled one high into right field. He circles the bases, and this game is all tied up.
Vizcaino hit 2 home runs for the Cubs in spring training. And strangely enough, he gets a big hand from the crowd here. So Jose was a crowd favorite as a member of the Cubs. Nothing has changed now that he's a member of the Mets, and he ties up the game at 1. It came from an unlikely source, but he's paying early dividends to his new employers, the New York Mets. He gets a fastball out over the plate and just drills it. Sammy Sosa looks up, but this one is against the back screen.
And here is Todd Hundley, who fanned in the first inning. This game all tied up. And the 2 leadoff men are responsible. Tuffy Rhodes led off the first with a home run off Doc Gooden. And Jose Vizcaino with 1 out here in the 3rd. There's another drive. Way back. It might be. It is Todd Hundley. It's another home run. Back-to-back homers, and the Mets lead 2-1. He got that fastball to the inside part of the plate again.
Well, last year I thought the Cubs learned something about Todd Hundley, and that was to throw him a lot of off-speed pitches and a lot of breaking balls. Because last year the only time they got him out was on slow curves and changeups. Morgan went with the fastball, and of course Hundley has always hit the Cubs very well because they've seemingly thrown him a lot of hittable fastballs, and he showed Mike Morgan that he could turn on one. So back-to-back home runs have given the Mets a 2-1 lead.
Jeff Kent, the second baseman, another home run threat. He hit 21. Bonilla hit 34. Reynolds is up there now. He hit 11 in the American League last year. And he was considered a home run hitter in the old Met lineup when he was with them the first time around. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kevin.
Inside. 2 balls and a strike.
Take a look one more time and watch the hands of young Todd Hundley. He gets a fastball. This one tailed back over the plate. Morgan wanted it inside and it didn't get there.
Pitch fouled off, 2-2. Morgan throws a pretty good sinker. He usually, when he's right, he gets a lot of ground balls hit. In this inning, 2 got up in that wind. There's a high pop fly going out for it. Mark Graves makes the catch. 2 away. Now here's a guy you fear the long ball from. Vizcaino and Hundley really don't hit that many, but they sure did today. And that's the thing about baseball. They talk about statistics. What's happened has already happened. What's important is now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good pitch over the outside corner.
Now, the last time that Morgan struck out Bonilla, he did it with a curveball in the dirt. And he's ahead of him 1-2. Let's see if he goes back there one more time.
Fastball inside. Bonilla took it. And the count is even. 2-1 in favor of the Mets. Struck him out. Well, Governor Edgar is with us. Governor, what were you saying to the First Lady? A Republican governor talking to a Democratic First Lady.
Well, we're both from Illinois, and we're talking about the Cubs. It's a great day. It's great to have her here, and it's great to be here with you, Harry. In fact, I'm here to present you with a proclamation. I, as governor today, have proclaimed this Harry Caray Day in the state of Illinois.
Well, thank you
for the 50 years of enjoyment you provided people all over the state.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
And we look forward to another 50 years.
I'm in favor of that, sir. Thank you very much.
Again, just thank you and congratulations. I don't know many people that get to stay in the same job 50 years, but that means you're awful good.
I've been in the same rut for a long time, right?
Well, you're in a pretty good rut.
Thank you very much,
congratulations, sir. And good luck with the Cubs this year. We need to do some work here.
Thank you. We got to get some runs.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. Leave it.
Count goes to 0-2 on Sean Dunston as Gooden delivers.
Pop fly. Going to be caught. Hey! But he makes the catch. Boy, oh boy. Jeff Kent slipped just as he's going to catch the ball. Fell down, reached while on the ground and caught it. One away. Good play.
Well, last year this was a terrible defense for the Mets. This year they think they've made it a little bit better with the addition of David Segui. And Jeff Kent just shows you some acrobatics as he dives, rolls over, but still makes the play. So with the wind blowing out, you have to realize that everything that's hit down the line is going to blow back toward the field of play. Kent almost overran that ball.
So there's one away. And here's Mike Morgan. Pretty good hitting pitcher himself. 2-1 Mets. A hurried attack. 2 swings, 2 runs. Foul ball outside first. 0-2. Well, let's see what Affleck has for us this year on the first game of the season. What is the Cubs' longest winning streak to start a season? My guess would have to be B. What's yours?
Okay, well, you guess B already. I'll say C.
There's a pitch, strike call.
Mike Cook is here along with Dick Wilkins and Irv Siegel. They are the Chicagoland, Indiana Buick dealers, all at the home opener today.
Well, here's Tuffy Rhodes. He's been the whole attack. Cubs have only 2 hits. One of them a homer by Rhodes to start the ball game for the Cubs, who now trail 2-1. 2 men are out. Fastball outside. Rhodes hit a total of 33 homers with 3 different clubs last year. 3 of them in the major leagues.
He's scared of you, Pup.
Well, let's see what the answer is. Hey, I'm finally right. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 out. Pitch a little bit outside.
Now, Rhodes drew 11 bases on balls in spring training. He had over a 400 on base percentage, and that's what you look for from a leadoff hitter.
There's a strike call. John Sender on hand here today. 3 balls and the strike. Long drive, way back. It might be. It could be. It is. Holy cow! Tuffy Rhodes has hit 2 of them of Doc Gooden. Listen to this crowd.
Well, I guess you couldn't ask for a better leadoff hitter. It's a Ricky Henderson clone.
And you know, he worked the count to 3 balls and a strike again. This time he hit a 3-1 pitch.
Well, this time instead of the curveball that he hit out of the park, he hit a fastball. Same result, a 2-2 game. And Tuffy Rhodes has thrilled this huge opening day crowd.
Listen to the crowd. Boy, oh boy. And I mean, they both were hit well. Smile, Tuffy, come on. Here's the pitch, a curveball. Boy, he's not showing the elation he must be feeling. Hot shot on the ground. Kent has it. Over to first. 1 run, 1 hit. No errors, nobody left.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field, opening day 94, a 2-2 game, and that will change on one swing of the bat. Jeff Kent has played long ball. All 5 runs today have come via home runs. And New York all of a sudden is taking a 3-2 lead. That pitch was hammered. Very exciting game so far. We've had more runs today than we had in the first 2 games in the first of last season.
Well, just taking a look at Tuffy Rhodes hitting 2 home runs against none other than Doc Gooden has to thrill this overflow crowd.
Karl Rhodes has said he feels a little pressure coming into this season, taking over the leadoff chore, the everyday center field job, but you wouldn't know it by today. 2 at-bats, 2 home runs against perhaps a future Hall of Famer in Doc Gooden. David Segui, the batter, had a very fine year for Baltimore last season, but after they acquired Rafael Palmeiro, there was nowhere for Segui to play. And the Mets will take advantage of that. He's a pretty solid player, very good defensively.
Well, he comes from good bloodlines. His father, Diego Segui, a former pitcher, said that David didn't have the temperament to be a pitcher. He said if they made an error behind him, he would just blow up, so they decided to put him at first base, and here he is, a major leaguer.
And there is ball 4 to Segui, so a leadoff home run by Kent. And now 4 straight out of the zone, and Dallas Green has a man aboard.
Tommy, the Mets needed a first baseman. They had Eddie Murray. They decided to go in a different direction. This is a team that literally nobody picks to contend this year, so they felt that they had to get a little more youth on their ball club. Eddie Murray now with the Cleveland Indians, a team that's going to contend. As we take a look at Tom Trebelhorn looking out. And Tommy, I served notice what kind of a year it would be by immediately spilling your water as you came in all over your scoreboard.
I was getting ready to say, you couldn't have dumped it all over your scorebook or your papers. It had to be all over mine. And that's ripped into right field, down in the corner for Burnett. On his way to third is Segui. Burnett's going to second. Here comes a throw, not in time. So Morgan in deep trouble to open the 4th inning. A home run by Kent, a walk to Segui, and now a double by Jeremy Burnett.
A lot of people on the New York Mets organization figured that certainly pitching would be a problem, but also how Burnett and Thompson would hit at the bottom of the order. Now, Jeremy Burnett is very strong, and last year he showed that he could hit the ball out of the park. What he has to show is he can hit it a little more consistently, and right there he rifles a double down the line. We'll take a look at Jeff Kent, who hit 21 of them last year. He got that fastball. If you looked at the location, it was high and away. He turned on it, and with the wind blowing out at Wrigley Field, it was a long home run. And so now meeting at the mound, bullpen up and going.
Blaze Ilsley starting to get loose, a left-hander who has never pitched in the major leagues, but he threw pretty well this spring, and he made it just ahead of left-hander Dave Otto.
Well, Tom, if you look at his numbers, when he first started with Houston, he was rated as their #1 prospect in the organization. He had staggering numbers in the minor leagues, but that was before he hurt his arm. He has learned to be a completely different pitcher when the fastball got cut back about 6-8 miles an hour.
So now with the Mets runners at second and third, it'll be center fielder Ryan Thompson. Dwight Gooden is on deck. Grace is even with the bag over at first. And Buechele about a step behind it over at third. And a good knockdown there by Wilkins to keep the runner David Segui at third base. If you're just tuning in, first batter of the season for the Cubs, Karl Rhodes. A home run to left center. Then in the 3rd inning, Vizcaino and Hundley. They're not supposed to do that, just based on principle. Those 2 guys, they went back-to-back for home runs. Rhodes another long ball to tie it. And Kent a leadoff home run here in the inning. And now the Mets will take the lead even bigger. Down the line, Segui coming in. Burnett will score. May having trouble down in the corner, and going in with a 2-run double is Ryan Thompson. And the Mets have now extended their lead to 3.
Well, now the entire trade that sent David Cohn to Toronto a couple of years back and yielded Jeff Kent and Ryan Thompson has come back to haunt the Cubs. Both Kent and Thompson with extra base hits. That's a couple of RBIs for Ryan Thompson, and hitting in the 8th spot, it looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with this year as the Mets have taken a 3-run lead.
Dwight Gooden, a very good hitter. The Cubs, however, figuring he's trying to get the runner down to third with a bunt. Race way in over at first. They let him at least swing away, but he looks at a pitch down low. So the Mets in front 5-2 here in the top of the 4th inning. One to no to Gooden. And again, Grace in on the grass at first. Gooden showing no sign of laying down a bunt. He looks at a strike.
Well, Gooden, one of the best hitting pitchers in the National League. You'd probably rank him along with Oral Hershiser. A couple of other fellas in that. Greg Maddux, another guy who can hit. But Dwight Gooden likes to do his own hitting. Doesn't mean that Dallas Green is not going to give him the bunt as you look at Bobby Wine to his right. His aide-de-camp in the dugout.
And this time Gooden will bunt, and it's a beauty. Morgan's only play is to Sandberg covering at first. Down to third goes Ryan Thompson. So Doc Gooden, not only a great pitcher, but a complete player. As you mentioned, he swings the bat. He's a very good bunter. He runs exceptionally well. And when you do that, you're going to help yourself in the win department. And now I have some new water, thank goodness.
And a dry book on top of it all.
No, that's not dry.
Semi-dry book?
Semi, maybe. Thank you again. All right, a runner at third. And here's Vizcaino. He's been aboard twice. He homered to right field back in the 3rd inning and looks at a strike against a drawn-in infield.
And you figure 3 runs down with only 1 out, you draw in the infield to cut off the man at the plate, and hopefully in this situation you'll have the ball on the ground as Morgan has had trouble keeping the ball down. He needs a ground ball in this situation.
Pitch on the way, and it missed outside. 1-1 to Vizcaino. Well, Jose asked us to send out the best to his wife. They're about to have a little baby here in the next few days. In fact, she's going to stay right here in Chicago to have the child before going to New York. And this will get a run in. Maybe. Derek May setting himself. Here comes Thompson. Here comes a throw, not nearly in time, and the Mets have extended the lead to 6-3. And Vizcaino, the former Cub, has come back to haunt him today. He's already knocked in a pair.
Morgan trying to get the ground ball. Instead, Vizcaino gets the job done. Now, Ryan Thompson is not a base stealing threat, but he does have very good speed, and he easily beats the throw from Derek May. So the Mets have a 4-run lead. And this has usually been the case when Dwight Gooden goes to the mound. When the Cubs do hit Gooden, the Mets seem to score a lot more. That's the reason for the 26-4 lifetime record that Gooden sports against the Cubs.
26-4. Those numbers are almost too hard to believe, and an ERA of 3.16, so he's getting a few people out in the process.
Yes.
1-1 to Hundley.
Strange story about Todd Hundley. Kelly Stinnett beat him out in spring training, but here against the Cubs, Hundley starts because of his great success, not only against the Cubs, but personally against Mike Morgan. He came in hitting over 400 against him.
And it looks like a pretty good move so far. Hundley with a home run down the right field line against Morgan back in the 3rd inning. But you brought it up. Kelly Stinnett in the Rule 5 draft coming over from Cleveland looks to be the everyday catcher. That'll end the inning. Nice of the folks to Southwest Airlines to bring us that camera shot all season long. And the Cubs need a little help offensively against Doc Gooden. It'll be Grace, Derek May, and Sammy Sosa. A 6-2 New York lead, and there's a base hit for Grace into right field, his first of the afternoon. And the 4th against Gooden. 2 of the 4 home runs by Karl Rhodes. I'm having a tough time calling him Karl. I used to grow up playing basketball against him, and I've always known him as Karl, but his mother calls him Tuffy. He likes being called Tuffy, so that's the way I guess it'll have to be.
You have to call him Tuffy because the way he hit those first 2 balls, I wouldn't want to see him pounding any knots on your coconut.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't either. He keeps hitting home runs. We'll call him whatever he wants to be called. That's a foul ball by Derek May.
Derek May did not have many swings in spring training, and I talked to Tom Trebelhorn about that fact, and they said that while he wasn't able to run, he still was swinging the bat in the batting cage, so they don't feel that it's going to affect him at all. He had some good swings late, but he had very few game opportunities to swing the bat.
Tom Trebelhorn, of course, his managerial debut, at least in the regular season here today. Did a fine job in Milwaukee, finished very strong his last year there, going 40-19 over the last 59 games, but the club did not make postseason, and they figured they needed a change. Been on the staff here ever since, and now takes over, and I think has won over many of the players who were a little skeptical after the firing of Jim Lefebvre. There's a drive into center. Thompson keeps going back, and it's off the wall. Grace being waved around third. Here comes a throw home, and it's cut off. Now they have May caught. And a throw to Vizcaino, and they'll get him there. But the run does score, give May the RBI 2-base hit. And that makes it a 6-3 ball game with New York in front.
Well, it goes as a first RBI for Derek May, and he turns around Ryan Thompson. You don't like to see base running like this because if you stay at second base, there's nobody out in the inning, and you've got a shot to get to Dwight Gooden. Now, Mark Grace is going to score, and I'm not sure what was on the mind of Derek May, who's not running particularly well, but being hung out to dry here, the play is easy. And Derek is out. That could turn out to be a pretty big run. However, the Cubs do get 1, and they now trail by 3.
1 down, bases empty, and Sammy Sosa, a big cut and a foul ball back. Gooden got him looking on strikes back in the second inning. The wind is blowing out, and generally 6 runs does not win a game in the friendly confines with those kind of conditions. Generally.
The one thing you try to do, if you can, is get into that bullpen, because that was the sore spot for the Mets all of last year. And although they say John Franco is entirely healthy, that still remains to be seen.
Here's the 0-2 to Sosa, and a little tardy on the Gooden fastball. It's out of play.
Now, they really haven't done a whole lot to shore up that bullpen. They needed some help in middle relief. What they did was bring in Pete Smith in the starting rotation. That's going to help them. And you see the winning percentages of the Mets as the ERAs have started to climb. The winning percentages have started to descend.
That's no real surprise.
Pretty much goes hand in hand.
Yeah, you follow this game long enough. If the ERA is climbing, the losses are dwindling.
Well, the Mets also didn't score very much last year. They had some big offensive problems. They lost 103 games.
2-2 now to Sosa. No problem with their offense here today against Mike Morgan. 6 runs and a 6-3 lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning. We invite you to be with us all summer long here on Channel 9 for Cubs baseball. It should be a fun summer. Cubs figure to score lots of runs. And Sosa's out on strikes for the 2nd time today. 3rd strikeout for Dwight Gooden. You agree about the point I made with Tom Trebelhorn? I know a lot of the players were in favor of Jimmy Lefebvre and bringing him back, but I think Trebelhorn has won many of them over with the kind of camp he ran in Arizona.
Well, I think he ran an outstanding camp, and I think they took a look at the dedication of which Tom Trebelhorn approached this spring and realized that he was trying to make them a better team. I think they liked the more offensive game that Tom Trebelhorn played in the spring. The Cubs ran a lot more. They tried to do a lot more in execution. They bunted a lot more. I think they spent a lot more time on fundamentals this spring, and you're right. I think this team enjoys having Trebelhorn at the helm.
Weak roller to short. Vizcaino waited, backhands, and did he have enough? No, the ball is dropped by Segui. Short hop throw over there, and Segui generally very good with a glove, but that was a tough one to handle. Vizcaino may have waited 1 bounce too many.
Well, I think they're going to give Wilkins a hit on this. This is a pretty tough play. It comes off with a lot of spin, and Jose is caught in between. No, they're going to give him an error, and that's kind of surprising. It's a bang-bang play at first. If Segui picks it clean, he probably has him by a half step. And as it turned out, looks like they gave him an error, but they put a hit up on the board. So,
well, we're waiting to find out. I thought it should have been ruled an error, because if Segui handles a throw, of course they would give the throwing error to Vizcaino because it's in the dirt. But if he picks it up, Wilkins would have been out. Well, nevertheless, we can debate that, and I'm sure we will all summer long with our good friend Bob Rosenberg. The official score here at Wrigley Field. And it is an error. We understand a throwing error has been charged to Jose Vizcaino. Buechele grounded out to second base his first time up. And we're starting to get a little closer to Mike Morgan's spot in the order. With only one man out. And Blaze Ilsley is again throwing down in the Cub bullpen.
you can understand that. Number one, early in the season. Number two, you don't get many shots at Dwight Gooden. If this inning is still alive when you get down to Morgan's spot, you certainly want to bring somebody off the bench.
And there's a bouncing ball that will sneak through into left field, a base hit for Buechele. So with 2 down, the Cubs have 2 on, and Sean Dunston is coming up.
We see how damaging the base running mistake by Derek May turned out to be. The Cubs could have at least had 4 at this point and a big inning still in place. As it is, there's a couple of outs. As we go back and take a look at Jose Vizcaino, the one thing that Jose doesn't have is a whole lot of range at shortstop. He's very sure-handed. He's got a good strong arm, but he didn't have the range of either Dunston or Sanchez at short. Now, when they talked about Anthony Young, and a lot of other teams wanted Anthony Young, I am certain that there was a choice given to Joe McIlvaine as far as who he wanted. He thought that the most complete player, and by the choice I'm talking about Hernandez, Sanchez, or Vizcaino. I think he felt the most complete player for his team was Vizcaino, and that's who he wanted.
I agree with him. 2 on, 2 out. Cubs are down 6-3 against Doc Gooden, the Mets, here at opening day 94. Dunston, the batter, he popped to second his only time up. He looks at a strike. Dunston had a spectacular spring.
Eddie Zambrano in the on-deck circle, so they will indeed take down Mike Morgan if Sean Dunston can keep it alive.
Zambrano earning an opening day roster spot with a very fine spring, and of course he was the American Association's most valuable player 1 year ago. Good man to have coming off the bench with that bat. The 0-1 to Dunston. High drive, deep left center field, but it might not be enough, and it's off the wall. 1 run scores. Buechele will score, and the Cubs have trimmed it down to 1. It looked like a ball that should have been caught.
Well, take a look at Kevin McReynolds as he goes back to what will eventually be the Ivy. This is a towering fly ball to left center. That's home run alley here at Wrigley Field with the wind blowing out. McReynolds goes back, does not play this ball very well. He's very shy of that wall, and that ball hit the bottom of the fence. In that case, for all you young outfielders, get back to the wall and feel for it right away. Get to know where you are in relationship to the wall. Then he would have made the catch easily. As it was, 2 steps from the wall, he pulled up, and that ball hit at the bottom of the wall, not off the wall. So the Cubs get a break, and they close the gap to 1.
1 throwing error in the inning by Vizcaino, and although that is ruled a double, certainly not a good defensive play by McReynolds. Here's Zambrano batting for Morgan. Pitch on the way. The tying run at second base, and it's strike 1.
Last year the Mets were just a horrible defensive club, and they thought they did something to shore up the defense by putting Segui at first base. But they still have some guys playing out of position, and anytime you do that, and I'm talking about Bonilla at third, you've got some problems. And McReynolds is proving not to be exactly a gazelle in left.
Foul ball straight back, and it's quickly 0-2 to young Eddie Zambrano. But McReynolds is not out of position.
No, he is a left fielder. but he's, I think, slowed down a little bit as the years have gone. If you remember, Tommy, he sat out the first year of organized ball with a leg problem. And although he hasn't had recurrence of that, I don't think he runs as well as he did when he came up.
Dunston the tying run at second base, 2 away, and Zambrano looks at ball one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're in the bottom of the 4th. New York getting 4 in the top of the inning. And Gooden with a little help defensively, serving up 3 thus far here in the bottom of the inning. Two and 2. You gotta wonder what's going through the mind of Eddie Zambrano facing a guy like Dwight Gooden. He's probably watched him pitch on TV countless times.
I just think he's looking for something out over the plate because he knows the wind is blowing out today. And this is a hitter's paradise on days when the wind is blowing out.
2-2 pitch, and he struck him out with a high heat, and that'll end the inning. Back at Wrigley Field, Chicago, it's opening day, 1994. Of course, the season officially starting last night. Cub fans in Jacksonville, Florida, I'm sure their hero is Rick Wilkins. He has a new battery mate. It's left-hander Blaze Ilsley.
Ilsley came out of the Houston organization. He came out with a blazing fastball, but after he hurt his arm, he had to learn how to pitch. And he usually gets the ball over the plate. That's his strong point. When you look at what he did at Iowa last year at 12-7, and you look at spring training, and it's that spring training that earned him a spot on the ball club. And now he comes in looking at a 1-run deficit, and against Dwight Gooden, hoping to keep that deficit right there.
He has gone 3-0 on Kevin McReynolds, with Bobby Bonilla due up next. And there's a strike. We mentioned that Ilsley has never pitched an inning in the major leagues. He's bounced around a little. 29-year-old left-hander, born and raised in Michigan. And there's ball 4 to McReynolds. You don't like having Bobby Bonilla in this ballpark coming up, period, much less with men on base.
Well, the one thing it does set up, if Ilsley can throw the ground ball, is it sets up the double play, because McReynolds doesn't run particularly well, although he does go hard into second base. And Bonilla certainly does not run all that well. So Ilsley looking for the ground ball, preferably to the middle of the diamond, and let's see if he can get it.
Bonilla 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. One swinging, second time looking, and for the first time today he turns around to bat right-handed. Not a good opening day start for Mike Morgan. 4 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, all earned. He walked a couple while fanning 4. 1-1 to Bonilla. Bonilla shook off a few of the critics last season with the 34 home runs. He 87 batted in, and he missed a grand total of about 30 games due to a couple of different injuries. Rib cage strain and a very bad shoulder. That one fouled down the right field line.
Well, he's still suffering from some rib cage problems, and that has stopped him a little, but the way he's swinging the bat today, it looks like the rib cage isn't bothering him all that much. It's not that I'm not looking for the 2 strikeouts, but I mean, I'm looking at his swing, and he doesn't seem to be favoring either side. He's taking some pretty good hard cuts. So from the left field camera, we pan in, give you a good look at what Wrigley Field looks like on opening day with the bunting.
High pop fly. Ilsley with a good pitch there to get in on Bonilla. Rhodes coming in, and that's out number 1 here in the New York 5th. Mets are leading 6-5. A long way to go with a wind blowing out here in the friendly confines. Of course, one big story in baseball last night. Well, you all know about the official opening game with St. Louis downing Cincinnati, but many in baseball eyeing the problems of Darryl Strawberry. Didn't show up yesterday for the Dodgers exhibition game against the Angels. They finally got a hold of him late last night. Runner goes, and Wilkins will have no throw to second base. What do you think happened there?
Well, I think that one we have to chalk up to Blaze Ilsley. He really didn't pay much attention. Then he floated that changeup outside and really gave Wilkins no chance. And unfortunately, this was a hit and run. And Kent, with a pitch about 2 feet outside, just decided not to swing at it.
So McReynolds, the first stolen base for him this season. And Kent, a high fly ball into left center. Wind will get a hold of this. How far? Rhodes at the wall. It's off the ivy. McReynolds had to wait. He'll go to third and stop there. Into second with a double is Kent. So the wind creating lots of problems for outfielders today. And Rhodes that time looked like he had a read on it, and then it blew right over his head.
The wind is blowing out rather briskly, and Tuffy Rhodes goes across. Really has some problems with it, and Rhodes doesn't have a whole lot of games under his belt in center field here, especially with the wind blowing out. Now, he did play some games in September here, Tommy, but at that time of year, more times than not, the wind blew in. So this is a brand new experience for him, and it's going to be an adjustment to play center field, one of the tougher center fields to play with the wind like it is.
Kent 2 out of 3. He homered back in the 4th inning. Now a double, and here's Segui. Sandberg robbed him of a hit back in the 2nd. He walked and scored in the 4-run 4th inning.
The Mets were looking at J.T. Snow. That was supposed to be the deal. Anthony Young for J.T. Snow, and eventually that deal fell through. And surprisingly, when I talked to some of the guys associated with the Mets, they couldn't believe that J.T. Snow didn't stick with the Angels. They sent him down to the minor leagues. But when that deal fell through, the Vizcaino deal came along, and Anthony Young is now a Cub, and by the way, threw 4 very strong innings yesterday in Minnesota.
Whoa, did he ever?
But I don't have to tell you because you were there in person.
Indeedy, calling it on the radio side. I still can't figure out why we didn't televise that game. You should have been working. There's a breaking ball down low, 2-1. But then again, there are many days through the course of a regular season where you should be working when actually you're not.
Not many anymore. They have cut those down to a scant few.
Well,
giving Arnie and I a chance, of course, to go to the library.
I like that idea. 2 on, and there's a sharp grounder. Dunston going to come to third, and they will get the runner there. But McReynolds will score from third, making it New York 7 and the Cubs 5. Gives Segui the RBI on the fielder's choice ground ball.
So we've seen a couple of suspect base running plays today, but the Cubs concede the run and fall 2 down.
Runner at first, 2 men out. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Mets in front 7-5, and here's Jeremy Burnitz. He is flying to left, doubled down the right field line, and scored in the 4-run New York 4th inning. It's opening day 94. Huge crowd, and the oh boy, weather could not have been more cooperative. Last few opening days, Tony, we've had here at Wrigley Field have not been pleasant.
Well, stick around for tomorrow, Tommy boy, and you will see it not be too pleasant.
Rain on the parade, at least for today.
But today it's beautiful. What a nice day.
See what I mean? A guy like you, and I figured by this time this year you would have come around a little bit.
I'm a ball of sunshine today. This is a beautiful day.
Yeah, no, but you're already looking ahead of tomorrow and the disastrous conditions they are forecasting. 2-0 the count.
Just wear that pilot's hat that you have for the rain, the one with the flaps over each ear that I see you wear occasionally.
Right.
That's a good look on you. A lot of guys can't wear that.
No, they can't. And not many guys want to. 3-0 on Burnitz.
You got to be careful here because Burnitz might just get the go-ahead. He is one strong young man.
And he takes ball 4. Ilsley's second walk in the inning. 2 on with 2 men out, and here comes Ryan Thompson. And that'll warrant a visit by pitching coach Mo Drabowski.
Along with Joe McIlvaine, they cleaned house, Tommy. 13 new faces on this New York Mets ball club.
Ryan Thompson looks at a strike with 2 on and 2 men out. And I think they've done a good job. I mean, they'll be the first to tell you they have a long way to go. But when you walk in that New York clubhouse right now, as opposed to early one season ago, you just don't have the tension or the, I'm not sure exactly what the word is, but there's a lot of youth on this ball club, and they genuinely seem excited about playing.
Well, it came out of New York that I think either Dallas Green or Joe McIlvaine said they're probably going to lose $20 million this year and have a tough season.
Ball knocked down by Buechele, but a good play there. It prevented the man from scoring from second base. It'll go as an infield hit. But put a star next to that play if Blaze Ilsley can retire Dwight Gooden.
Steve Buechele had the best fielding record of any third baseman in the National League last year. And odds are he will do it again. He's got exceptional hands, and he saves a run, knocks his ball down. There's nothing he can do with it. But he makes sure, as Bill Hahn motions fair all the way, that the inning continues, and you can't take Dwight Gooden for granted. He is one fine hitter.
Bases loaded for the doctor, and he looks at ball one, down and away. Gooden laid down a perfect bunt, leading to a run in the 4th inning. And he can really swing the bat. Segui at third, Burnett's at second, Thompson at first, and now it's 2-0 on Gooden. And this is not the kind of guy, Stoney, you just brought it up. You fall behind to Doc Gooden. It's not like falling behind 2-0 to just your average hitting pitcher.
Well, especially when you don't have that overpowering fastball, and that's something Blaze Ilsley has to live on his control. And today, I think he's got to be a little nervous out there.
Gooden took a big hack there and fouled it off.
You know, you figure, Tom, he spent so long getting to the major leagues. It looked like he was going to be a star when he came up, had the arm injury with Houston, battled his way back, had the fine year last year in the Cubs organization. Here he is in the major leagues. It's got to be an emotional appearance for him.
And there's a base hit into right field for Gooden. Segui scores. Now they wave around Burnett's. Here's a throw way offline. And Doc Gooden, with a bases loaded 2-run single, has added to this New York lead. It now goes to 9-5 in favor of the Mets.
Take another look at a fastball up when you fall behind, and Tommy was talking about even falling behind to a pitcher. In this case, Doc Gooden is not your typical hitting pitcher. This throw is well off the mark, and Burnett scores under the tag. The Mets have come back after the Cubs came back in the bottom half of their inning, and there's Sean Bosky getting loose.
Runners on the corners, and the batter now Jose Vizcaino, and Bosky getting ready in a hurry. Vizcaino 1 for 1, hit a solo home run in the 3rd. He walked in the 1st, had a sac fly RBI in the 4th. And he'll turn around to bat right-handed and swings and misses.
There was some talk of Brett Saberhagen being traded, but after the addition of Jose Vizcaino, both Joe McIlvaine and Dallas Green thought their team started to look a little more competitive. And now they figure that they're probably going to keep around Saberhagen, and they like their 1-2-3 of Gooden, Saberhagen, and Pete Smith.
And if you're wondering why Saberhagen is not pitching in this series, he is still serving a 5-game suspension handed down a year ago. But the Cubs will get a look at him. They're holding him back to the home opener a week from today when the Cubs visit Shea Stadium in New York. And that's the inning. But a big inning against Ilsley. Well, here's been the man of the day for the Cubs, Tuffy Rhodes. 2 at-bats, 2 home runs to left center field, and that time Doc Gooden comes high and tight.
Well, you pretty much had to expect that. He hit a curveball and a fastball, and Doc is running out of pitches and places to throw Tuffy. So he figured one up and in might be just what the doctor ordered.
And there's a drive way back. Oh my goodness, Rhodes, 3 home runs. Can you believe it? Karl Rhodes, 3 at-bats, 3 home runs against Dwight Gooden in this his opening day start.
Well, the fans giving him a standing ovation. Soon we will hear from Sharon Panazzo. And the last time anyone on opening day has hit 3 home runs.
And there's a curtain call.
And he deserves a curtain call. And a little salam from his teammates. And not a cheap one in the bunch, Tommy. He's hit all 3 of those right on the button. And all 3 of those to left center field. Well, finally we get a smile out of Tuffy Rhodes. It took a hat trick to do it, but he did it.
And now Rhodes finally, Stoney mentioned cracking that smile. I mean, what a day. He said he felt a little pressure coming in and taking over as a center fielder, leadoff man. And he's facing a future Hall of Famer, and he has 3 home runs.
Well, I don't know how long this leadoff man stuff is going to go, but you don't want your leadoff hitter to hit 3 solo shots as we take another look. After the knockdown pitch, Gooden gets a fastball low and away. So he got a curveball out over the plate. He got a fastball up and away. Now a fastball low and away. And the same result on all three. 3 solo home runs. And it's a 9-6 game as this has turned into a wild one at Wrigley Field. Well, folks, we didn't promise you great pitching this year. We promised you a lot of excitement. And that's what's going to happen with this team.
I mean, you know, the thing you got to remember about Karl Rhodes, up until last year when he combined with 3 different teams to hit a grand total of 33 home runs. Here's a guy who had never hit more than 4 home runs in an entire minor league season.
Well, Tommy, we did the same thing in the offseason. Tuffy and I really bulked up on the weights, and that's why he hit home runs last year. That's why my golf swing was a little bit better, and that's why my back blew out.
Do me a favor. Don't compare your physical stature right now, being rather broken down, with the way this guy's. He's putting on the wrong hat. Somebody must have thrown his hat.
Hey, he's just excited. He's going to put on any hat.
Well, the kid who comes from the city where baseball professionally started, Cincinnati, Ohio, looks like he invented the game here today.
Billy Williams is talking to him. Billy said, that's the way I used to do it, Tuffy. Back when it was tough to hit. Not like today with the lively ball.
Right. Karl Tuffy Rhodes.
Well, the one thing you really hate to see is what's going on right now is a disruption of this game. The Cubs look like they're going to come back in this one. And although you don't mind Dwight standing on the mound a little bit longer than he should, I'd like to see him get cleaned up and get this game underway.
And unfortunately, many of the fans are still throwing either hats or some kind of debris out on the field. And yes, the number of home runs for Tuffy Rhodes today. Don't throw that.
Well, you take a look at the man of the hour as far as the Cubs are concerned, and if you're trying to break in as a leadoff hitter, I couldn't think of a better way to break in than what Tuffy Rhodes has done here today. He's going to leave an indelible impression on not only one Doc Gooden, but the entire National League when they read about what he did this afternoon.
Well, they're finally getting a lot of it cleaned up out here, and it'll still be a few minutes. The last Cub, well, let's see if we can beat Sharon Panazzo to the punch here.
You'll find the last Cub to hit 3 home runs, but will you be able to find the last Cub to hit 3 home runs on opening day?
Oh, well, they don't give us that information. A 3-homer game was Andre Dawson. You have to go all the way back to 1987 when he did it against Philadelphia on August the 1st. That, of course, the year Andre Dawson won the National League's Most Valuable Player Award. So just 87 for 3 home runs in a game. And as Stoney mentioned, forget about opening day. I don't know where you find that.
I don't know if there's another guy that's hit 3 home runs off Dwight Gooden in his entire career, and that spans well going on the 11th year, I believe. Dwight Gooden, this is his 11th year in the major leagues, and I gotta believe you can look long and hard and not find another game where he gave up 3 to the same man.
Oh, I agree with you. This guy's only 154 wins, 81 losses in his career, and an ERA of just over 3. All right, it is a 9-6 ball game, and we're only in the bottom of the 5th. Sandberg 1 of 2, and he's down a ball and 2 strikes to Dwight Gooden.
Arnie Harris going out on the line, making one of his fearless predictions here in the 5th inning, saying that 9 runs will not win this game.
Yeah. Well, Arnie really goes out on a limb on a regular basis. Sandberg drives one to right center. This ball will split the gap and go, cut off by Burnett. And here comes the throw. He has a good arm, but Sandberg able to get in there with a double.
Well, Mike Morgan had some problems today, and Dwight Gooden is starting to take his lumps. He gets the fastball out over the plate. This is a pretty good play by Jeremy Burnett as he cuts this ball off, but he gets entangled with Thompson. And Sandberg, a good heads-up base runner, sees this in front of him, realizing that Burnett has got to extricate himself from Thompson before he can get the throw off. And you're right about one thing, Tommy. Burnitz has one of the better arms in right field. But no chance to get Sandberg there, as still nobody out, and Grace has got to pull the ball here.
Grace does pull it. Down on one knee, Segui. He'll go to the bag himself, but Sandberg, now with only one out, advances down to third base. Good job by Grace.
Now the bullpen up and working for the New York Mets. And we'll take a look. David Telgater.
Saw him a few times last season, brought up near the end of the year.
He was 6-2 with the Mets last year, but a high ERA of 4.76. So he did pitch at the right time.
On the ground, it'll bring in another run. Kent will throw out Derek May. And that makes it a 9-7 ball game. So the Cubs have gotten 2 of them back.
Derek May with a couple of runs batted in today, and Dallas Green electing to keep the infield back. Now, Dallas Green knows this ballpark as well as anybody, and he figures in the 5th inning there's no reason to allow the Cubs to have any bigger inning than they're going to have, so he concedes the run for the out and knows that it's still relatively early in this game, just about halfway through.
Very moderate temperatures here at Wrigley Field today, a little better than 50 degrees. Oh, but the scoreboard is being lit up by both ball clubs here today. It is 9-7, bottom of the 5th.
Kind of surprised, Tom, that Dwight Gooden has been able to throw his fastball by Sosa. Now, he froze him with a curveball once, but about 3 or 4 times he's just thrown the fastball right by him.
And he does right there again, and I mean right down the middle of the plate.
That's kind of surprising, because last year when Sammy had it tuned up, there weren't too many people that could get that fastball by him.
Well, who's ahead right now? The hitters, the pitchers with a full spring training. The hitters today, I mean, with the winds blowing out, that certainly helped.
Normally early in the season you will see the pitchers a little more dominating, but of course today you could throw that out the window.
Sosa will be retired for the 3rd time. He bounces back to Gooden. 2 runs in the inning. And all the studies suggest that fans love seeing runs scored, and already 16 of them here today.
You know, Tom, it's funny. I kind of get a little impatient with people that talk about the beauty of the game of both football and basketball, and how baseball is losing interest to a lot of fans against those 2 sports. Now, this is a sport that doesn't do anything to change the scoring of the game itself. In football, they're talking about the 2-point conversion. They make a ruling where you can't hit the receiver after 5 yards. Basketball put in the 24-second clock.
And the 3-point shot.
And the 3-point shot, as well as widening the lane for the bigger players. So they do things artificially to change the game to encourage scoring. And they've done that back and forth. The rules have changed in the course of the game, but the actual rules of the game of baseball haven't changed. You score the same way. You can't hit a 2-run homer with nobody on base. I mean, everything has stayed the same over these years, and still the game holds up, and still the people keep coming out. And also another factor, it's still the only game in town where you can take the kids and see a game and get out without taking a mortgage on your house.
You got that right.
You can't do it in football, and you can't do it in basketball.
Boy, very well put there, Professor Stone. I mean, you sum that up very quickly, concisely, precisely, everything. Here's a 2-1 to Hundley, and turns around to bat right-handed and can't get it. 2-2.
Bullpen up and going for the Cubs in this hitting extravaganza. And with the wind blowing out, something you very rarely see on opening day, the hitters have taken advantage of it and have come out of spring training roaring.
Hundley 1 of 3, hit a solo home run back in the 3rd inning. And he thought about that. They appeal and nothing doing, says Bob Davidson. Tom Trebelhorn visiting the mound briefly, and one thing Trebelhorn has talked about time and time again during spring training, he will not tolerate pitchers that do not throw strikes.
Well, leadoff walk to McReynolds in the 5th, and he scored.
That ball into shallow right center, and Sosa can't get it. Hundley, the turn at first, but he'll stop right there. Sosa nearly coming up with a diving stab.
Todd Hundley hit .228 last year, but something happens when he sees a Cub uniform and the man who's throwing it. As Sammy sees this ball drop out of his glove, he kind of took the circuitous route to this sinking line drive. But Hundley, with a couple of hits today, And I don't care what he does against anybody else. He just kills the Cubs.
McReynolds, a high fly ball down the left field line. Derek May waiting. And he has it for the first out here in the New York 6th inning. Mets are leading 9-7. But a long, long game left. Well, a few other games from baseball. Montreal in the bottom of the 6th inning in front of Houston 3-1. Boy, I like that Expo team. John Smiley shutting out St. Louis through 5. 4-0 Reds in front. Run down some of the American League games later. The only final. The New York Yankees opening at home beat the Texas Rangers 5-3. And you hold that Texas ball club to 3 runs, you're doing something right. And I believe Jimmy Key was the opening day starter for the Yanks.
Well, the Yankees are going to do it with just about the entire left-hand starting rotation. They got Jimmy Key. They have Terry Mulholland, late of Philadelphia. They've got Jim Abbott. They've got Bob Ojeda trying to resurrect his career. So if the teams around baseball are looking for lefties, look to the Bronx. The Yankees have them.
Yeah, the only right-hander is Melito Perez. 1 on, 1 out. Bonilla's had a quiet day. He has struck out twice and fly to center.
Jim Bullinger continues to loosen up in the bullpen. As Blaze Ilsley trying to get out of this one without any further damage. Touched for 3 last inning.
Bonilla's hit more home runs and knocked in more runs against Cubs pitching than any other team in the National League. And I bet about 3/4 of those 26 home runs have come right here in the friendly confines.
Tommy, I just think back to that outstanding outfield at the Pittsburgh Pirates, and notably Sid Thrift, who now works as the assistant general manager to Larry Himes, put together. And you see Barry Bonds in left and Andy Van Slyke in center and Bobby Bonilla in right. Ooh. And you realize what kind of damage that team was able to do. When you look at the numbers, those guys pile up, and 2/3 of them now with other clubs.
And doing pretty well, I might add, particularly that guy out in San Francisco.
Yes, sir. Barry Bonds going for an unprecedented 4th MVP, and but for 2 votes would have been going for a 5th in a row, might I add.
Yes, please do add.
Terry Pendleton beat him out. A lot of people felt that year that Barry deserved it, although Pendleton had a magnificent season.
1-2 to Bonilla. On the ground, off the mound, and let's see, Buechele will not have a play on Bonilla at first. That'll be an infield single for Bobby Bonilla, and the Mets have 2 on with 1 out. That was just a bad break. It looked like it caught the side of the mound just before Ilsley had a play.
Well, it looks like it could have been 2, but Ilsley can't get the glove down in time. It caroms off, I believe, his shoe. By the time Buechele comes up with it, no play at first base. So a couple of men on, only 1 out, and a very dangerous Jeff Kent. And what Kent lacks in mobility at second, he makes up in raw power. Hit 21 last year and probably will better that this year. This is a pretty tough young hitter.
Well, he already has his first home run of the season today, and there's a sharp single in the left. They're going to wave the runner around. Here comes a throw by May, cut off, and now they have Bonilla caught. Sandberg running him to third, and Dunston will put on the tag, advancing on to second with an RBI as Jeff Kent, and that makes it a 10-7 New York lead. Boy, we have seen some bad base running by both clubs here today.
Let's take a look at a changeup by Ilsley that stays up, and Kent drives it into left field. His second run batted in. Hundley is going to score, but visions of Vince Coleman by Bobby Bonilla as he rounds the bag. Once he gets hung up, though, good piece of base running because he allows Kent to go to second. On the rundown, the Cubs would have rather run Bonilla back to second and made sure that Kent stayed at first. It didn't work out that way, and now an intentional walk to Segui to face Jeremy Burnitz.
And the way that Jeff Kent is going right now, he's 3 out of 4, has a homer, a double, a single, and he's batted in each of the last 3 innings. If that holds to form, he'll bat 3 more times in the game and have a triple to go for the cycle.
And this game will also be 24-20. As Bo Drabowski is going through his lineup, trying to figure out how to stop the bleeding on this pitching staff. Tom Trebelhorn talking about it. Now a little word with Chuck Cottier. And as we said, Tom, looking at the team in spring training, we knew that the offense was going to be high powered. And we figured that the pitching staff was going to give up some runs, and this is going to be not the exception but the rule this year, I believe. Games like this, although with the wind blowing out, you're going to get more runs, but I think normally you're going to see high scoring games from the Cubs this year.
Right now it's 10-7 Mets with 2 aboard and 1 man out here in the top of the 6th inning. Jeremy Burnitz with a count of 0-1. Ilsley turns it loose and he swung and fouled it back. Well, I have a feeling with all the commotion taking place in our booth right now that we are just moments away perhaps from visiting with the First Lady, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Maybe. She'll be stopping by, I'm sure, sometime today. I don't know if she wants to talk to me.
Well, you never know.
Well, I certainly wouldn't ask her about any of the policies today. There's a pitch down and in, and they check his swing. They say he went around. And that will end the inning. 10-7 ball game. New York in front. Doc Gooden to begin things against Rick Wilkins. He'll be followed by Steve Buechele and then Sean Dunston. It's been a wild game. There have been a total of 3 half innings today where nary a run was scored. First 2 innings for New York against Mike Morgan. Bottom of the 2nd inning for the Cubs against Doc Gooden. Crooked numbers the rest of the way. See the Cubs scoring in the 1st and New York in the 3rd. And then right down the line, big numbers here in the middle innings. And that's a change of pace from our track record.
Well, I would think, Tommy, that the one thing the Cubs would like to do is keep this inning alive to get Tuffy Rhodes one more shot at Dwight Gooden.
Well, he would be due up 5th. The Cubs can get that far. 2-1 on Wilkins, who is line to right and reached on an error.
Nobody warming up in the bullpen, but Jim Bullinger, I'm sure, is ready to go if the Cubs do get at least 1 base runner this inning.
2-1 to Wilkins, and that one came in on him. Kind of velocity you think Doc Gooden has had here today, Stoney? That was a much debated topic a year ago about this time.
I thought his velocity is good, but I don't think it's exceptional. I don't think he's going to reach back into those days of yesteryear and have those big strikeout years.
So Wilkins beginning things in the right fashion against Gooden with a sharp single through the middle.
I'm also a little surprised because he has thrown a lot of pitches so far and nobody is warming up in that bullpen. Now, granted, Dallas Green doesn't exactly have an all-star pen down there, but this is opening day. It is a beautiful opening day. It's not all that cold. You don't concern yourself with that, but you really hate to see your opening day pitcher go much over 105, 110 pitches. If they get to that point, you're really asking a lot of them.
Here's Buechele, and a ground ball that will sneak through into center field, a hit. Wilkins will stay right there after the quick turn. So consecutive singles by the Cubs here off Gooden to begin the 6th, and Dunston is coming up, and the horn is ringing with Steve Swisher, the former Cub, answering down in the New York bullpen.
That's a former battery mate of mine, Steve Swisher. In fact, Steve Swisher came over in a trade along with me and Jim Kreml and Ken Frayling to the Chicago Cubs for your partner on the radio side, Ron Santo.
The old third baseman.
Back in winter of 1973, preceding the 1974 season in a deal that was devastating for both teams.
And I have to throw it in. Swisher, a graduate of Ohio University.
Yes, he was, and the Shawano-meter making an opening day appearance at a lofty 500, 1 for 2.
And the one was a double to left center field that brought in 2 runs back in the 4th inning. Wilkins at second, Buechele over at first. Nobody out. And the Cubs are only down by 3 here in the last of the 6th.
And Glenn Allen Hill with a bat standing in the on-deck circle, ready to come on. There's a look at one of the most powerful men in the National League. He can really launch him.
See what Dunstan's doing here. The Mets are maybe thinking about a bunt.
Well, that's why Gooden stepped off the mound as quickly as he did. Dunston taking the long look down, and he wants to see if perhaps the bunt is in order. Tony Muser, the coach at third, going through his set of signs.
Gooden getting the sign from Hundley. And now the pitch. And Dunston did not show bunt that time. A nasty hook from Gooden in there for a strike. Tailgater back up, joined by left-hander Eric Hillman. Hillman 6'10".
Tall left-hander Eric Hillman.
2 on, nobody out. Dunston drives one to center field. Thompson came back, brought in, went back again, and he makes a catch.
Now here's a case where a good base runner takes one extra base, and I'm talking at second base and Rick Wilkins. As soon as he saw that Ryan Thompson went back on the ball and had to go back to make the catch, you tag up because Thompson can't get anything on the throw. Wilkins went halfway. Might not come into play, but we'll take a look and see what the resolution of the Glen Allen Hill at bat is. You can score a lot easier from third than you can from second.
So Rick still standing at second with his buddy Buechele over at first, and here is the aforementioned Glen Allen Hill. Came over to the Cubs, and boy did he tear up National League pitching. Appearing in only 31 games, he had 10 home runs, including a game winner against New York Met left-hander John Franco. There's ball one. Hill came up highly touted in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, put up some monster numbers. In '86 back in Knoxville, he hit 31 home runs and knocked in 96 runs. Things never worked out in Toronto, and from there to Cleveland, and here to the Cubs for Candy Maldonado. Did he go around? Yes, he did. It's 1-1.
Well, it used to be years ago, Tom, the San Francisco Giants were known as bringing the most power through to the major leagues. They didn't develop many pitchers, but they stocked the National League with outfielders for many, many years. And of late, the talent that has come through the Toronto organization has been staggering. Not only Glen Allen Hill, but Mark Whitten, and they both came along at the same time. Hill was a better prospect of the two, but you look around and you see a lot of Toronto players, Jeff Kent and Ryan Thompson, just on this Mets team alone. So they've used a lot of their youngsters for trades and brought up some pretty good players to their major league team.
There's a breaking ball strike. Glen Allen Hill motioning. He didn't like that call by home plate umpire Jim Quick. He thought it was low, and he might be right.
From the southwest rooftop camera, we'll take a look at this breaking ball. No doubt it had the plate. Glen Allen Hill thought it was down, but Jim Quick thought it was good enough.
1 out, 2 on, 1 and 2 to Hill, and Gooden comes back with a fastball. Hill has been going after a number of high fastballs here during the exhibition season. Struck out a couple of times in Minnesota Saturday, once yesterday on high heat.
Well, that's the game plan. If you're looking for a scouting report, you get ahead of Hill with the breaking ball and throw a head high fastball and usually throw it by him. If Glen Allen lays off that one, he's tough to get out.
2-2 pitch, and he fouls it away to stay alive against Dwight Gooden. I don't think anybody has left quite yet. Not the way this one's being played.
It's been an exciting game. And the Cubs still have a few more chances at Doc Gooden and the bullpen. And that's what you want to do, is get into that Met bullpen.
Wilkins started the inning with a single. Went to second on a single to center by Buechele. Dunston a pop fly into center. So 2 on, 1 out. And New York ahead here in the last of the 6th. 10-7. Glen Allen Hill, the tying run waiting on the pitch from Gooden, and now he'll back out of the box. What do you think Gooden comes with here, Stoney?
One head-high fastball, and he tries to throw it right by him. But then again, I never had Doc's fastball, so but that's what I would go to. See if I could get perhaps an over-anxious Hill swinging at something out of the zone.
Let's take a look. That's what he came with, and it almost hit him. Glenn Allen Hill is most fortunate he was not struck in the head with that Gooden tailing fastball.
Well, he went for the head-high fastball, and it got just a shade out in front of his head. We'll take another look at it as Glenn Allen Hill strides in and has this one just under the chin whiskers. Pretty good reflexes here by Glenn Allen, and that one didn't miss by much. And that rooftop camera from Southwest Airlines shows you that it missed by nary a whisker.
All right, now 3-2.
I come with a good solid curveball, and if it's a strike, Glenn Allen sits down.
All right, let's see. 2 aboard, 1 man out. It is a 10-7 Cub lead, and the crowd looking for something to happen. Go back to the top of the order with the man who is, well, you couldn't do any more than Tuffy Rhodes has done today. 3 at-bats, 3 hits, 3 home runs. He's a man waiting on deck. And don't believe for a second Doc Gooden doesn't know it.
Well, I'm wondering if you go to Eric Hillman, if this inning is still around when Tuffy comes to bat. If the inning is still going, if Glenn Allen Hill does not ground into the double play. If I'm Dallas Green, I don't think I let the Doc face him again.
I don't think so.
3 of his offerings are now souvenirs.
And again, the second baseman Kent coming over. And Bluff Wilkins back to the bag. Gooden obviously really wants to make sure he's on the right page with what he wants to go with in this situation to Glenn Allen Hill. One out, 2 on. 3-2 to Hill. And he came with a fastball down, and Hill stays alive by fouling it off.
I got to believe, and Tommy, we're not charting the pitches, but I know that Gooden's up over 100 pitches.
Sure.
And I would think right now that he is really starting to labor. Just looking at the fastball, and again, you can't really judge it from up here as velocity is concerned, but he doesn't have what he has on the fastball now as what he started the first couple innings with. He's probably down 2-3 miles an hour.
3-2 to Glenn Allen Hill, and he got him swinging. That's a big out for Doc Gooden. Now let's see what Dallas Green will do. He's walking out of the dugout, and the crowd standing and cheering as there is no way Dallas Green will allow Doc Gooden to see Tuffy Rhodes again.
Well, I can't blame him, and we figured that might be the case. As Dallas Green comes out, he's asking for Eric Hillman, the left-hander.
10-7 ball game. Cubs batting with 2 on and 2 out here in the last of the 6th. And with Tuffy Rhodes coming up, Dallas Green goes to left-hander Eric Hillman.
Eric Hillman at 6'10", 225 pounds, out of Gary, Indiana. Makes his home now Virginia Beach. Last year at Norfolk, he was 6-2, a fine 2.21 ERA. Came to the Mets. The record turned around somewhat. He was 2-9. He made 22 starts of his 27 appearances, and a lot of people figure that Eric Hillman is going to be the number 5 starter. But with a number 5 starter probably 2 to 2.5 weeks away in the Mets scheme of things, he's working out of the bullpen, and his first assignment is the man who's hit the ball out of the park all 3 times he's been to bat. And there is the man of the moment, Tuffy Rhodes.
And listen to this ovation. See the numbers on Hillman in spring training. And indeed, what a way to start for Tuffy Rhodes. Graduated from the same high school as Don Zimmer, Jim Fry, Pete Rose, Eddie Brinkman. 3 home runs today for Rhodes. Can he make it number 4? There's ball 1.
Well, Hillman is not overpowering, and although you would think at 6'10" he would have Randy Johnson type velocity, he doesn't.
Rhodes waiting. Now the pitch, and it goes to 2-0. It's interesting they're staying away from him. He's hit 3 balls to the opposite field for home runs. And that's the direction the wind is blowing.
Well, the one thing that Hillman knows is if he loses Rhodes, he's not going to face Sandberg.
2 on, 2 down. Ball 3.
Interesting decision for Tom Trebelhorn. Do you give your suddenly rejuvenated #1 hitter the 3-0 go after hitting 3 home runs?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is Hammer City here if it's good.
If he hits one here, he can run for whatever office he wants in the state of Illinois.
Rhodes waiting. Now the pitch. And he takes ball 4 a little high. So the bases are loaded. And Dallas Green more than likely will walk the walk to the mound once again.
Well, he's got the right-hander throwing in the bullpen. And I find it somewhat surprising that he's going to allow Hillman to face Ryne Sandberg with a 3-run lead. And there's Dave Tailgater.
Go figure this.
Well, Dallas, if he hits one out, the papers are going to be full of who's the next manager in New York.
All right, here's Sandberg. He's had a good day. 2 of 3 with a run scored. Bases loaded. And there's a strike at the belt from Hillman. Well, the pitcher spot is due up second in the New York 7th. But right now the Mets are just trying to hang on to a lead. Cubs are down by 3. Wilkins, Buechele, and Rhodes aboard. 2 men out. The 0-1 to Sandberg. Lined into left field, but right at McReynolds to end the inning. He hit it on the button.
And Ryan Thompson will lead it off. First pitch a little bit low. 10-7. The Cubs trailing by 3. They had an opportunity with the bases loaded, and Ryne Sandberg hit a hot shot, but right at the left fielder. There's a strike call. A ball and a strike. Thompson is 2 out of 3. An exciting ball game. Now the pitch, here it is. A high pop fly on the infield, backing out Sandberg. Under it, he has it. 1 man out. The Cubs at least got rid of Doc Gooden. But boy, this goes to show you the kind of a pitcher he is against the Cubs. Even when you knock him out, he's still leading and has a chance to pick up the victory.
That's really what happened, Harry, over the course of his career. He'd have his great games against the Cubs, but on days when they'd hit him like today, 7 runs and 11 hits, his team just has a great offensive day also. And Bullinger had a great spring, and that's why he made this ball club. He didn't come with any promises, and he credits it to winter ball. He threw in Mexico and kept his arm in good shape and threw the ball well all spring.
Here's Ursulak, who was the double switch that Dallas Green made with Eric Hillman coming in the pitch. Ursulak replaced Burnitz in right field. Veteran outfielder. Curveball inside, the count evens up.
Ursulak is a good, solid utility player, a fine 4th outfielder, but before they got David Segui, it was speculated that Joe Ursulak would have to fill in at first base, a position that he's not too comfortable with. But as a utility outfielder, he's a good bench player and a good hitter.
Now the pitch to Ursulak, a little bit inside. Well, we've already rehearsed this act, Hillary. We just are on radio for about an inning and a half.
It was fun, too. It was really fun, Harry. Thanks for doing that, and I was glad to see Ron. He was a player that I used to watch when I was younger.
Nice play by Sandberg, throws him out. Ursulak thrown out on a nice play by Sandberg. Well, we have the First Lady up here now, and she's been all over the place today. Threw out the first pitch. You got to put your hat on.
Oh, got my hat here, too. I love my hat.
Atta girl.
I'm ready.
And you're a native Chicagoan, aren't you?
That's
Park
right.
Ridge, is it?
That's right. I was born here on the north side, and then when I was about 3.5 or so, my parents moved to Park Ridge, and that's where I lived all the rest of my growing up years.
How come you didn't go to Northwestern?
Well, because I thought it was a great school, and I loved Chicago, but I wanted to see another part of the country, and but I love coming back here.
So there's a line drive, right field coming on. Sosa, the ball gets through his leg, rolling to the wall. On his way to third base, Vizcaino, and will make it easily. Vizcaino tripled through the legs of Sammy Sosa, who was trying for a shoestring catch.
Take a look at Sammy Sosa, who's having some problems with the sinking line drives in right field. This one sinking in front of him. He doesn't block this ball. He allows it to get by him. And a little generous scoring, giving a 3-base hit on what could have been a single and a 2-base error. But nonetheless, Vizcaino is once again has bit the hand that fed him, and the crowd not happy with the scoring decision of the official score here today.
Well, he tried for a shoestring catch, and he just didn't make it. And frequently that happens. So they got a runner at third, but 2 out, and here's Todd Hundley. He's had 2 hits today, including a home run. There's a curveball a little bit outside. Well, you know what you're going to have to do as soon as we get the third out, don't you?
What's that, Harry?
We're going to have to sing the Take Me Out to the Ball Game, right?
Well, I'll sing it with you. Is that a deal?
Well, you'll sing. I'll be with you. Right? Now the pitch. Swung and he missed. That's going to put you in the class of the really true music lovers when you sing along with me.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I've sung along with you in my living room and other places where I've watched the game.
Now the pitch. Hey, your husband, the president, is seeing quite a ball game. Cleveland came back and tied Seattle. Seattle got one in the 10th. Cleveland also has scored, and they're tied again, 3-3.
Well, that's, I think 2 of the best games you could see are the ones in Cleveland and Chicago today.
Brand new ballpark in Cleveland.
That's right.
Now the pitch. Hundley waiting. He swings, fouls it out of play in the right field corner. Well, this has got to come under the heading of a silly question, Hillary. And want me to ask you, who do you think's going to win the basketball game? Arkansas or Duke?
Well, I think Arkansas will win, but I think it's going to be a great, great game.
You're not going to fly down and see it, are you?
No, I can't do that. I wish I could, though, Harry. I'd love to be there. We've seen great basketball in this NCAA tournament.
Right. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Big pitch. Pop up, foul out of play. And so, Bullinger on a single to right would have taken an extra base hit to score another run. But now they try for the shoestring catch. Any kind of a base hit or air, pass ball, wild pitch would score. Vizcaino. Ground ball. Nice, great play by Gray to retire the side. From Gray to Bullinger. No run, 1 hit, no error, 1 man left. We go in the bottom of the 7th. Here's Derek May to lead it off. Broken bat. Looper in the short center field. And May is on. 1 out, 1 on. And here's Sammy Sosa, who's certainly happy to see Doc Gooden no longer pitching. He hasn't had a hit off Gooden through his career. I think he's something like nothing out of 10. This time he's facing Eric Hillman.
Bullpen busy for the New York Mets as they start getting heated up.
The Cubs trail by 3. Ground ball. Force out at second. He beats it out at first. So Sosa forces Derek May. 2 out, and here's Wilkins facing the left-hander. Gray started this inning by flying out to left. May looped a single to short center and was forced by Sosa. And now here is Rick Wilkins. Well, a lot of people thought certainly that Dallas Green would bring in the right-hander to face Sandberg with the bases loaded in the 6th and 2 out. But he stuck with Hillman, and Hillman got Sandberg out. Sandberg hit the ball very hard, but right at Kevin McReynolds in left field.
Well, I was one of the guys that felt that Dallas was really taking a gamble leaving in Hillman, but Hillman is going to be his 5th starter. And so he figured if I have enough faith in him to eventually start him, he'll probably get Sandberg out.
Swung. Boy, he was fooled on that pitch. Toronto is leading the White Sox 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th. Swung and he missed. Boy, this Hillman, who stands 6'10". You'd think he'd be playing basketball. He's born in Gary, Indiana. That's what 6 feet 10 inches looks like on the mound. Now lives in Virginia Beach. The bullpen ball's on the field. One ball, 2 strikes. Boy, you think outside. You think you hit 3 home runs off of Doc Gooden and knock him out and scores 7 runs, that you'd be winning the ball game, but they aren't. The pitch. Smash foul down the first baseline.
Hillman was originally drafted by the New York Mets and came up through their system, but they waited till the 17th round to pick him in the June 1987 free agent draft. He's not overpowering, as we talked about before. He's got a pretty good slider. He does have to mix up his pitches and change speeds, however, as he's not going to overpower too many hitters. Last year he only fanned 60 in 145 innings.
Throw to first. Bright sunshine at the moment. The wind seems to have abated somewhat.
It just turned into a beautiful day here. You couldn't ask for a better opening day weather. Wind is still blowing out, but maybe not quite as briskly as it was when the game started.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Pops it up. Easy out. Kemp makes the catch to retire the side. Harry Caray back at Wrigley Field. Here is Kevin McReynolds leading it off. Bullinger pitches low and outside. The Toronto Blue Jays got 3 in the 7th and then 3 in the 8th and now lead the White Sox 7-2 in the 9th. Here's a ground ball. Sanchez throws him out. Sanchez not playing shortstop.
Even with the departure of Jose Vizcaino, the Cubs are still well stocked at shortstop. Ray Sanchez defensively is as good as anybody, and he certainly is a pesky hitter. And Dunston had a great spring. And young Jose Hernandez looks like he's the shortstop of the future somewhere down the road.
1 man out. High fly ball in fair territory. A double for Bobby Bonilla. He went the other way.
Take another look at it as Bobby Bonilla slices this one down the line. Derek May actually lopes after this one for whatever reason. I think he thought the ball was foul. It lands 20 feet fair. And by the time Derek got to it, it's two-base hit. Now, I'm not sure if that leg is still giving him some difficulty. Bear in mind, he only had 3 or 4 games of spring training.
I'm wondering why Dunston left the game. You don't think he might have?
I think they're being careful with him, Harry. I think they're going to take their time early and wait and see just how that back responds.
Because you'd want your best offensive shortstop of the bunch when you're trailing by 3 with 2 innings to go. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Two balls, no strikes. Jeff Kent has had a good day. 3 out of 4, a home run included. 2 RBI. Hot shot on the ground. Sanchez knocks the ball down. The only play he might have had would have been at third base, but Buechele had wandered off trying to reach the ball, and he couldn't be in position to take a throw.
And this is where the third base coach comes into play, and in this case it's Mike Cubbage. As soon as he sees Ray Sanchez come up with it with no play, you've got to tell Bobby Bonilla, stay right here. And that's exactly what he did. You see in your picture, Mike Cubbage is saying right on the bag. He knows that Sanchez is coming toward him, and if you take the big turn, you might be out.
Well, that's 4 hits in a row after he went out the first time for Jeff Kent. And he's batted in 3 runs. Is David Segui. There's a line drive, well hit, will score the run after the catch. A sacrifice fly by Segui. And now it's a 4-run lead. 11-7.
Two runs batted in for Segui, and the Mets were kind of surprised that Roland Heeman called him and wanted to complete that deal. They had tried very hard to get first baseman J.T. Snow from California. When that deal fell through, Anthony Young came to the Cubs, but Segui was still available for a minor league pitching prospect. It looks like he's going to be a good one. Tom Wegman went over to Baltimore, and they figure eventually Wegman is going to be a pretty good pitcher.
Here's Jeff McKnight hitting for Hillman. McKnight, an infielder, outfielder. Oh, the Budweiser girls are here. I saw them down in spring training. Hot shot, nice play by Graves to end the inning. Harry Caray and Steve Stone. We go in the bottom of the 8th. Cubs trailing by 4. Spend your spring and summer at Wrigley Field where everybody plays. Groups of 20 or more tickets can be ordered for most games this season, including many of the night games. For group sales information, call 312-404-CUBS. We have Mike Maddox, older brother of Greg, pitching for the Mets. Bogart's now playing at third base. Here's Buechele to lead it off.
Maddox was versatile last year. He appeared in 58 games. The record not impressive at 3-8. The ERA pretty decent at 3.60 as you take a look at Tim Bogart, who's playing third base in place of Bonilla defensively.
0-2 the count. Well, this game is about what we expected. Cubs to get runs, play pretty good defense, but they're pitching questionable. and it was certainly questionable today. You knock out Doc Gooden, you hit 3 home runs off him, you pound him for 10 or so hits, and he's still leading 11-7. But I'll say this, the fans have certainly enjoyed themselves, and why not? A beautiful day, first game of the season, bright sunshine, and a lot of hits and a lot of runs. We're going to show you the 3 home runs that Tuffy Rhodes hit. 3 consecutive home runs before walking in the 6th to fill the bases. Ball outside. Cleveland has defeated Seattle in extra innings 4-3. Yankees over Texas 5-3. And Bouchel goes down swinging. Here's Sanchez, who replaced Sean Dunston, the shortstop, an inning ago. Sanchez batting for in Dunston's place after replacing him at short, grounding out to Vizcaino, throws him out, 2 away. Now here is Tuffy Rhodes. There's his first home run on a curveball into the center field corner of the left field bleachers, almost out of the ballpark. Here's his second one, headed the other way. Again, in the left center field. And here's the third one. And in the same direction, high, almost out of the ballpark again. 3 straight home runs in the first game of the season.
Willie Wilson comes on to pinch hit.
And let me tell you something, he still has a chance to do what has never been done by any Cub. His 4th home run in 1 game, because he'll come up either this inning or next. Mike Maddox on the hill. He's protecting a 4-run lead. Willie Wilson batting for Bullinger.
Looks like Randy Myers is going to come on and pitch the 9th inning. He's getting loosened up in the bullpen, or it just could be that he's just getting loosened up just to get loosened up, as Dan Plesac is walking in from the bullpen.
He started the swing, tried to check, run around, and he's out on strike. Harry Caray with Steve Stone. Here's Ryan Thompson facing Dan Plesac, the Cub left-hander. Thompson's had 2 out of 4 today. The Mets have pounded out 15 hits. John Franco getting ready for New York. One ball, 2 strikes.
There's a look at Plesac's numbers from last year, but he looked like a different pitcher in spring training. He threw the ball exceptionally well. As you take a look at the hits per innings pitched, and nary an earned run.
Fouled it back, out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, I see Ben Stein and Jack Leahy still in their seats in the sunshine behind the Mets dugout. Hey, struck him out. Plesac continues to pitch well, which he's done all spring long. I wonder if he can start. One out. Here's Orsulak. Bounced out his only time up. The big hitters, Vizcaino has had 3 hits. Hundley has had 2. Kent has had 4 with 3 RBIs. Bonilla's had 2. Or select. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nipped that outside corner.
When Dan Plesac had his good years with Milwaukee, he had a hard biting slider. And he just threw a very good one to Orsolak.
Bouncing ball to Grace. He's got it. Steps on the bag. In another well-pitched game in the American League, the hometown Red Sox defeated the Detroit Tigers 9-8. Cleveland in extra innings over Seattle 4-3. The Yankees defeated Texas 5-3. The White Sox batting in the top of the 9th were trailing 7-2, but they've been out quite a while. In the National League, Houston is tied with Montreal 3-3 after 8. Cincinnati leads the Cardinals 4-3 at the end of 7. You can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Nothing like young love. 3 balls and the strike. Vizcaino's had a fine day. He walks. You know, there is no doubt that Vizcaino is an outstanding ball player. The Cubs had 4 shortstops. You can only play one at a time. And nobody's going to replace Dunston. So they wanted to get some pitching. And I think Vizcaino is going to help the Mets considerably. By the same token, I think that Anthony Young is really going to be maybe a savior for the Cubs. I honestly, on what I saw yesterday, he impressed me more than any other pitcher we've had in spring training.
I know he threw the ball very well yesterday, and I asked Tom Trebelhorn after throwing 4 innings on Sunday when he would entertain the idea of using him again, and he said he felt that he would be ready to go on Wednesday if they needed him out of the bullpen, and that's where he'll stay for a while. But Harry didn't give up anything in 4 innings, and he's got a fastball right around 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, and he's got a good curveball and a slider. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 out. Fastball is a little high, and Wilkins goes out to talk to Plesac. Hundley has had 3 hits today. Big crowd on hand. Hundley, a switch hitter, like Vizcaino. Ball 3. Final score, Toronto beat the White Sox 7-3. Baltimore is leading Kansas City 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th. 3 balls and the strike, 2 out. Well, I mentioned the rooftops. I guess I was on radio at the time. A goodly crowd all the way around from left field to right. Three balls and the strike. A hectic day. All 4. And Hundley walks. So after getting 2 out, Plesac walks 2. And now he faces a tougher hitter in Kevin McReynolds, who's had 1 base hit today. 1 out of 4.
Plesac is bidding to be one of the 4 Cub pitchers to emerge unscored upon. And to do that, he'll have to retire McReynolds.
A nice story here written by Howie Bisley and the Grand Rapids Press. There's a strike call. Pitch is high. Philadelphia is playing in Colorado. They're just getting underway. I guess they have the usual 80,000 there for opening day.
Well, they've got 1 more year of drawing 4.5, maybe 4.5 to 5 million people, Harry, and then they move into a somewhat smaller park.
There's a hot smash, base hit. Another runner's going to score. And it's 12-7 now. McReynolds drilled a single past Sandberg in the right field.
Second hit, first run batted in for Kevin McReynolds. Sandberg diving, the ball goes under the glove, and Sammy has some problems with it. And the hit parade continues as now all the Cub pitchers have given up at least 1 today as the Mets have pounded out 16 hits.
Well, Doc Gooden beat you 1-0 if necessary. Beat you 2-1 if necessary. Beat you 3-2, then he can beat you 6-5 or 7-6 or 8-7. Or give up 3 straight home runs, get knocked out of the ball game, leave with a victory in his hip pocket. There's a high fly ball to center. Should be caught. Tuffy Rhodes is there. Harry Caray back in the ballpark. I knew John Franco would be in there before the day is over, but he can't get a save. The Mets are leading 12-7. And who's that? Is that Al Jackson down there?
That's Tom McCraw.
Tom McCraw. He looked a little bit like Al Jackson from the side.
He's the hitting instructor. In fact, the coaching staff is Mike Cubbage, Frank Howard, Tom McCraw, Greg Pavlik, Steve Swisher, and Bobby Wine. And there you look at John Franco coming back after a number of physical problems. Franco trying to be the reliever he once was. He was 4-3 last year, an ERA that even he wants to forget at .520. He picked up just 10 saves, but he had a very much injury-plagued year. And Franco at his best is really the key to this Mets team. If he can throw well, they've got a chance to win a lot of ball games. But if he really struggles, the Mets have problems.
Well, the crowd giving such standing ovation to Tuffy Rhodes, who can hit his 4th home run of the day. He's already had 3 straight home runs. Walked his last time up, so that's not an official time at bat. He could have 4 home runs and 4 times at bat should he hit one here. The crowd loves the nickname Tuffy. And I hope his mother and family are watching the game in Cincinnati. I didn't hear you, Arnie. No doubt about it. Every sports show on TV will have Tuffy Rhodes 3 home runs. First 3 times at bat. Takes a ball high. (12-7). Ooh, he was swinging for that. That one, he really ripped but he missed. 2 ball, 1 strike. We're in the bottom of the 9th. He had a good cut. Fouled it off.
Twice John Franco has either led or tied for the lead in the National League in saves. In 1988 with Cincinnati, and again in 1990 with the Mets. He was traded from the Reds to the Mets in exchange for now Cubs stopper Randy Myers.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Base hit, 4 for 4. He didn't get a homer, but he got another hit. What a day he's had. And it's a shame we couldn't have a little better pitching after scoring 7 runs off Doc Gooden. Hey, where's the First Lady sitting now? She's in the bleachers near the foul line. Sandberg, the hitter. 12-7 in favor of the Mets. Outside, ball 2. Well, a base hit or 2, a couple bases on balls, an error or so, a long one. You can make 5 in a hurry sometimes.
Especially with the wind blowing out as it is today.
Franco's pitch. Ball 3. And Mark Grace would be next.
Franco's last real good year was 92 when the ERA was 164, but even in that year he only chalked up 15 saves. So the last couple of years just 25 saves combined.
The pitch. Strike called over the outside corner. The Cardinals have tied up Cincinnati 4-4 at the end of 8. Montreal and Houston are 3-3 going into the 10th. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The home plate's area now is in the shadow from the stand. Tuffy Rhodes. Double play ball maybe out at second base for 1. Safe at first. Sandberg forced Rhodes from Bogart to Kent. Here's the Buick game summary. The Mets leading 12-7. Rhodes 3 homers his first 3 times at bat and 4 out of 4 for the day. Kent 4 out of 5 with a home run for the Mets. He drove in 3 runs. Here's Grace. Grace has had 1 hit, 1 out of 3. And the Cubs have done enough hitting, scored enough runs. Ground ball, up with it. Over to first, Kemp. 2 away. And here is Derek May. He's 2 out of 4 with a 2 runs batted in.
And although he comes in a non-safe situation, John Franco can convince Dallas Green that the stuff is back and in the shape it was in 1992. The Mets are going to have a much sunnier disposition as a club.
Fastball inside. Sammy Sosa on deck. (12-7), a 5-run lead for the Mets. There's a ground ball to right field, a base hit. Here's a runner on third. He will score. And it's a 12-8 ball game. As May drives in his 3rd run of the day with a single to right.
After limited spring training, and I mean really limited, till around 10 to 15 at bats, Derek May has come out today swinging the bat like he had 75 at bats in the spring. 3 runs driven in and 3 for 5.
There have been 20 runs scored and 30 hits in this game. There's a drive foul. Way foul. Let's see, they have 18 hits, and Cubs have had 14. That's 32 hits. 20 runs on 32 hits. The accent has been on the hitting, not the pitching. Swung and a miss. Sosa fanned twice against Gooden and then tapped back to him. Then he bounced on the 7th off Hillman. (12-8) in favor of the Mets. There's a high pop fly coming in. Orsolak under it, makes a catch, falls down, holds on to the ball, and the Mets have won this ball game by the score of 12-8.